everyone. Welcome back, or welcome if you're new. My name is Erin, and I am fascinated by all things cults, true crime, and unique spiritual practices. And today is one of my favorite things to do on this channel where I share true cult survivor stories. Now, I've sourced these stories from various places on the internet, but if you have a story that you would like to share, please type it out and send it to letfresherin@gmail.com and I will share it anonymously on the channel. It might be cathartic for you, it might be therapeutic for you, or if you just want to send me your story and you're like, I don't really want you to share this, that's totally fine too. You might need to get things off your chest. So just whatever you might need to do, I'm here for you. And with that said, let's jump in. Now, this story comes from someone on Reddit, and the title of the post is I grew up in a cult. I knew we were weird, but did not realize to what extent. We started going to a Southern Baptist church when I was 7. Less than a year later, my dad felt the call to preach, and so did my uncle less than a week later. After a year or so, from what I remember, the pastor of the church more or less felt threatened by two other preachers in the church and told them they could only preach there so many times a year and they needed to find other places to preach or make their own church. A lot more went on, like the cover up of the pastor's son, 28 male, coming onto my uncle's daughter, who is my cousin, who is only 16. I'm not sure the exact reason, but my dad was kicked out of the church at some point. We then jumped around to a lot of different churches. We picked up stragglers along the way that would then follow us to church to church. Our group of various families would be half the congregation of whatever church we ended up at. Sometimes those people would stay at those churches and we would pick up more. My gosh, so basically, your family created a cult. My dad never had a church of his own. He would just preach at others' churches. His sermons rarely lasted 30 minutes, and in the Southern Baptist world, preachers are barely warmed up in 20 minutes. There would end up being a large part of the churches we went to preferring my dad's short sermons so they could get out of church faster. Those were often the ones following us. All of them were very poor and uneducated. We would combine our resources and essentially have day long potlucks at our house. 30 or so adults and kids in our small home with one bathroom. It would start at 10 a.m. and go until 4 a.m., sometimes with people sleeping over on our floors. Me and my brothers were frequently forced into sharing our rooms with a lot of kids. There were a lot of talks of buying land and all of us living on it. Gardening, raising animals, homeschooling, our own church, and so on. I was heavily encouraged to be friends with and date within this group. Everyone was always so excited when people did date within the group. Even weirder, no one cared when two different 23, 24-year-old women that both somehow had bachelor's degrees got with two different 16-year-old boys in the group. Do not like that. They got married, had kids, and instead of using their degrees, they were stay at home moms while their teen husbands worked. I'm still floored by this. I had even been encouraged to be with one of those 16-year-olds, but I was 3 years older and felt gross dating someone younger. So you're 19 feeling gross dating a 16-year-old, but these people who are in their mid 20s are like, give me the teenagers. What is going on? Like, teenagers are children. Teenagers are children. Once there was a meeting at someone's house where plans of starting a church was being talked about. My dad said he didn't agree with the ones that would be financially backing things and backed out. I was encouraged to not cut my hair. It wasn't an explicit rule, but definitely frowned upon, and I was often talked out of cutting it. Makeup was something my dad didn't want, but my mom fought him on it since I was a tomboy and she wanted me to act more feminine since I'd taken an interest in makeup. I was not allowed to wear eyeliner or lipstick. Dress clothes only for church and church gatherings. Only Christian music with modern Christian music frowned upon. Really, modern Christian music was frowned upon. That's interesting. I got whipped for putting Skillet on my younger brother's iPod. Wow. My mom and I weren't allowed to watch Grey's Anatomy after my dad saw the bathtub scene in one of the first couple seasons. Literally just two people sitting in a tub covered in bubbles. I don't even think there was sex. I wasn't allowed to watch 90% of TV or read books that didn't come from a Christian bookstore. I was taught the world was 6,000 years old and dinosaur bones were placed on Earth by the devil. Yeah, because the devil's got that kind of time to create fake animal bones and plant them all over the earth. To a certain extent, the group still exists today. It broke up a bit through the years. My mom hangs out with a lot of the kids from the group that are around my age, like an adoptive mom. Oh, they still come around for bonfires. My youngest brother announced his call to preach about a month ago, and I'm worried some of this will reignite. Many of them showed up to support his first couple sermons. I always felt like we were on the brink of being a cult, but after I looked through Bite, the Bite model by Stephen Hassan, behavior, information, thought, and emotional control, I believe we were a cult. There's so much more I couldn't fit here. Ask me anything you may want to know. I am an open book. Someone says, it's funny that the original attraction was brevity of sermons compared to other preachers. Perhaps one criterion of a cult is that they foster or even force unwise or heavy commitments and relationship decisions. Then the loss of freedom becomes acute and perpetuates itself. The OP responds, I would say this cult slash borderline cult was focused on the lazy and uneducated, the kind of people who all had stay at home wives with incredibly dirty and even hoarded houses with 4+ kids. The husbands were all self employed laborers that weren't personable enough to work with others. My dad was fired for getting into physical fights with others on job sites because he was a self employed electrician. That reflected on many of the men. Anger issues were rampant. Many didn't get along with others so badly that they couldn't keep hours even while self employed, barely working 30 hours a week and underbidding most jobs. My dad would brag about low bids he would put in with homeowners, telling him the next lowest bid, $5,000 plus what his bid was. All of us were poor and low educated. There were two women a few years older than me that had BAs, the pedos, but never used them and just became stay at home moms. No hate to stay at home moms. I'm not sure anyone else had more than a tech, cosmetology, or realtor certificate. Again, no hate. My middle brother is in law school, and I have an MA in behavior. Out of all those people, most that were my age are continuing the self employed route, and several kids that their parents did. Someone responds to OP's original comment, I got involved in a cult 20 plus years ago when I was 21. There is a very common thread in cult members. It's not intelligence or education. Look at Heaven's Gate. It's more a set of circumstances. Lonely, away from family or friends, seems to be one big qualifier. I was brand new in the military, like 90% of my cult, away from family, hadn't really gotten to know anyone at my first unit, so this cult swooped in and I took it all. 7 years later, I got out, and it took years to fully deprogram from that nonsense. Now I'm in school for archaeology. Occasionally, a cult member will try and reach out to save my soul, but for the most part, it just feels like a bad dream. Take time, educate yourself, read books on history, evolution, and whatever was banned from the cult. Then you'll see why those books were banned. Not because they were of the devil, but because they prove the whole notion of the devil is made up by cults and the church to keep you in. Well, if I don't believe in that last statement, I think there's a lot of things that can make someone susceptible to a cult, and it's really any vulnerability. Yes, like this poster said, are you lonely? Did you just move into a new city? Did you just go through some kind of heartbreak or grief? Any of these kinds of vulnerabilities will make you more open to cult ideology because you're seeking something. And if you're seeking something, the cult is going to figure out what that is and exploit it, no matter the cult and no matter the vulnerability. So, yes, some cults might prey on people who they deem undereducated or lonely. But the thing that cults do is they disarm you at the beginning so that you start sharing all of your grievances or insecurities or worries or anxieties. And then at the end, they're like, oh, well, this cult can solve all of your problems, all of them. You just need to commit by giving us your money or time or free labor or body. So let's move on to another OP story. And all of these can be found in the cults subreddit if you want to check them out yourself. So this one's titled My Experience in a Cult I Just Wanted to Share with Everyone. And I'm reading these somewhat blindly, like I skimmed them, but I might mispronounce a couple of these words, so I apologize. What cult was I in? It was Sant Nirankari Mission, headquartered in Delhi, India, which has a long history of clash with Sikhs. Formerly, I was led by a man, Baba Hardev Singh. He had an extremely charismatic personality. Now, the leader of the group is the daughter, Mata Sudiska. This cult was started in 1929, and today it has millions of followers throughout the world and is still active today. People know that this group is notorious for historical clashes with Sikhs, but not many know about the extreme psychological, financial, physical control techniques used in the group once you join. How I was recruited into the cult. My mother is part of this cult from her very early childhood, so you can say that she was born into this cult. Older brother were brought here by my mother when I was just 8 years old and my brother was 11. Me and my brother were given the so called knowledge of God, which they call Brahmagyan, and they call God Nirankar, which means God without any form. And we had to take the oath of surrendering our mind, body, and money to the God. But obviously, it's believed that the leader is an incarnation of God. So this oath was actually for the leader. Then, me and my brother, along with our mother, started attending the regular satsang, which is obviously regular indoctrination sessions disguised as satsang. Satsang is a Hindi word which translates to the company of wise men. Why? It's a cult. In every satsang session, there is only discussion about the greatness of the leader and things like that. Human values are oneness, brotherhood, fraternity, and these are all talked about, but they are merely for decorational purposes to attract new recruits. You're never encouraged to find and help the needy people in your society. The 84 lock birth cycle is cherry picked from major religions like Hinduism and Sikhism. They say that you take birth and suffer from pain in the form of insects, animals for millions of years, and if you miss this human birth, which they call the golden opportunity to see God through their Brahmagyan, you will have to suffer again, basically as a bug, for millions of years. They use this fear of eternal hell to extract financial donations and to extract free unpaid labor, sweeping floors, cleaning toilets in the satsang halls, washing utensils, preparing food in the kitchen, lifting heavy sand in the satsang grounds, and many other tasks from the members. Collectively in this group, financial donations and unpaid labor are called sewa, which translates to selfless service. Any member of the group can perform unpaid labor, but exclusively for it, they have a separate special wing in the group known as sewa dal, which translates to a group of people performing sewa. The members of this sewa dal wear a special brown dress for men and special blue dress with white dupatta for women assigned by the group. And members of this sewa are often considered superior than other members of the group, and the already devoted members are coerced to join sewa by linking siwa to salvation after death, otherwise external hell. Sheesh. Extracting these financial donations and unpaid labor from the members are their prime motives. There's no financial transparency regarding how and where the donations are used. Also, they create a strong us versus them mentality. Our group is the only way for salvation after death. Critics are always wrong for leaving. Our leader has chosen you from the rest of the world. This group is your new sweet family, and things like that. They say that salvation after death has been achieved by only 1 to 2% of members of their group until now, but in reality, they're usually the leader's chosen higher cult officials. Also, they target children from a very young age, as early as 4 to 5 or 7 to 8 years old, by saying to the parents that you need to bring your children to Bal Satsang. Bal is a Hindi word for children, which are special indoctrination sessions designed for children because they believe the children in the whole world get in company of bad people from a very young age due to lack of their Bal Satsang sessions. I guess that's why my mother brought me here when I was just 8 years old. Wow. Also, we know women are oppressed section of the Indian society. They also conduct special sessions exclusive to women only, which they call Mahila Satsang. Mahila is the Hindi word for women. Women are not encouraged to become independent in life or to think for themselves, as we expect for normal women empowerment sessions, but instead to become dependent on the group and its leader completely. Also, they conduct English medium satsangs by saying that English is very important to communicate the message of our leader worldwide. But in reality, these English sessions are just conducted to present an image of superiority, an image of enlightenment, which works perfectly to mask the underlying malicious control structure. Also, The main 30-minute speeches in satsang, known as vikar here, which is a Hindi word for analysis, are often given by the highly approved, high ranking cult officials. A member cannot simply ask for permission to give a speech, as it's considered highly sacred and difficult. It's a technique to strictly control what type of information reaches the members in every indoctrination session. In each session, first, intense singing and dancing rituals are conducted for 2 to 3 hours, which can be performed by any member. In these rituals, members ask for forgiveness for their sins, accept the greatness of the leader in front of everyone in the hall. So it's the classic public confessions cult ritual. These rituals are conducted so that members become highly susceptible till the time for vikar, as vikar is the main ultimate indoctrination speech given by an occult approved official every satsang. In each session, extremely emotionally charged language is used, which is designed to bypass your critical thinking like oneness, humanity, selfless service, etc. Also, thought terminating cliches, extreme guilt tripping techniques, and gaslighting are used extensively, like Nirankar, the formless god, has plans for everyone. Our leader is Nirankar himself in human form. We may never get doubts about the leader. To avoid doubts about the leader is exactly why satsang is important regularly. Those who performed regular sewa, or financial donations and unpaid labor for the group, have reached great success in this materialistic world by getting huge money and good health. You are not worthy of ever being here. It is our leader who forgave your past sins and allowed you to be part of our family. Wow, that's really, really rough. If you get into doubt, it's because you never fully understood our doctrine in the first place. Go and get Brahmagyan again. She's. They send you to get Brahmanyan and take the oath of surrendering your mind, body, and money, the same oath you take while joining this group for the first time, again and again and again if they suspect that you have doubts against a group or leader. I'm going to need to do a deep dive about this cult. I've never heard about it, and I'm just like hungry for more info now. The group also conducts mass marriages. Mm-mm. Mm-mm. The group also conducts mass marriages in which the couples take the oath of always serving the group and the leader for their whole life. The group also weaponizes the major festivals of India like Diwali, Dussehri, Lohri, Rosh Badhan, Christmas, New Year's, as the leader gives special speech to its followers online during these occasions. Also, the group uses online resources like YouTube to constantly engage their followers. Even if a follower gets ill and is not able to come to satsang, instead of genuinely caring for their well being or simply saying get well soon, they say, let's pray he gets well soon so that he can again attend satsang. Meanwhile, they are the online songs on YouTube of our group and leader to keep you engaged during this time. Whew, gosh, this is a lot. This is a lot to take in. Hope you guys are doing okay. It's believed that if anything bad happens to you, it's always your own fault. Awesome. So they coerce members into continuously chanting their group's mantra 24/7. They call this mantra Simran. In this mantra, you ask for forgiveness for your sins 24/7. It is strongly believed that even if you skip this mantra for 1 second, you will go to eternal hell because they say life is highly unpredictable. So you can die any second. It's even strongly emphasized to not lose faith on the leader in your dreams at night. They don't want, oh my God, not them trying to control your dreams. Wow. Wow. Obviously, it's complete obedience for the leader disguised as faith. So a complete psychological control over the member is exerted. If completely mentally exhausted, it completely mentally exhausts the followers, taking them into extreme hypnotic states, which makes it easy for the group to further manipulate them. Members significantly fear from remembering their deceased family members. If they were critics of the group, as it's believed, now they have turned into dangerous, vengeful spirits that are constantly trying to hunt you down. Wow, so this group doesn't just say anyone who doesn't agree with us is evil and you need to cut them out. But if that family member or friend passes away, they're like, you can never think about them again. You can never talk about them again. They are trying to destroy you spiritually. That is next level. That is creepy. Even if your family member was not a critic of the group, but a fellow follower of the group, just like you, members still fear from remembering them to some degree, as it's believed that salvation after death is quite rare. It's only achieved by members who 100% devote themselves to the group and its leaders. Wow. Obviously, it's a psychological technique of putting forth an extreme devotional demand that cannot be achieved by a person in his life. Members are coerced to constantly compare their life before joining the group and after joining the group. Life before is often described as useless, crap, not worth even a penny. And life after joining the group is often described as highly successful, fulfilled, worth every treasure of God. How convenient. The fellow members call each other Mahapurush, which translates to wise men. It is used to constantly make you feel special in the satsang sessions, so that you slowly disassociate yourself from the outside world. It creates an immense feeling of belonging to the same family, which is the group itself. OP goes on to say misuse of other major religions' principles. And honestly, a lot of cults do this. They don't come up with like their own thing, they just pull from a bunch of different beliefs and then pretend that they made it up. So they misuse the Sikhism principles of sewa, simran, and satsang to fully control members' lives. Also, they say our leader is the incarnation of all the major religions' leaders, including the 10 gurus of Sikhism. They say God is formless, but God takes incarnation in human form to distribute Brahmagyan in the world to his special chosen ones, and salvation after death is not possible without this. So they say every major religion's follower out there in the world is not worthy of salvation after death because they're worshiping God without actually seeing him. And guess what the Brahmagyan is? It's the empty space around us. It's not empty, but full of an invisible conscious energy. The God who monitors our daily actions like a CCTV camera 24/7. And that's a quote. Wow. This cult is next level. I am going to do a deep dive on this one. From an outsider, it can be intriguing that how such a simple Brahmagyan can be the core control mechanism of a group, but it's there. How they recruit new members into the cult. The Brahmagyan I talked about is the core mechanism by which they control members from leaving. They say it's a special knowledge available only to those in our group, and also they use it to recruit new people by saying, hey, want to see God in your life? Yes, it's possible. Come here to our group. God can be seen through your eyes in this life only. It is the same Brahmagyan which Lord Krishna gave to Arjun in the grounds of Mahabharata. Here we also talk about making this world a better place, free of all the evils. They also turn the already devoted members into recruiters. They take an oath from the members not to disclose this Brahmagyan directly to the outsiders. Instead, they only encourage them to come in this group because they believe the ultimate giver of the Brahmagyan is always their leader and you are only his students. It's a bait and switch technique in which new recruits are put into an extreme curiosity of seeing God so they can be drawn into the cult. Once in the room where they give us this message, these rooms are present in every building of the group throughout the world. Everyone has to take an oath of surrendering your body, mind, and money to the leader as they believe these three things are the source of all the sufferings in the world. Your mind, body, and money. Just the things they want to control. Okay. The Brahmagyan in these rooms is always given by cult approved officials known as the Gyan Pracharaks. I'm so sorry. I know I'm not pronouncing a lot of these words correctly. It's the Hindi word for propagators of Brahmagyan because already devoted members have taken an oath to not disclose it to anyone. Members are also required to bow down in front of minors, like parents touch the feet of their children. It's also used as a core recruitment technique so that outsiders get intrigued by how adults can bow down in front of minors. Also, they use phrases like, in our mission, people of all faiths come and pray together, but it's just another recruitment technique. Mass events are organized like blood donation camps, tree plantations, cleanliness drives, etc., but they are just tools to mask the underlying structure of abusive control in the group. It presents a carefully manufactured, benevolent image to the group and its leader in the world. There's also hereditary leadership. The leadership is run by the leader's family only, known as the royal family in the cult. For most of the history of the group, with no member of the group outside this family ever inheriting the leadership. It's believed that God automatically goes from the body of the previous leader to the next declared leader of the group. How convenient. Hmm. Use of love bombing. Intense acts of hand waving, smiling, hugs, dancing, singing are used by the leader to mask the underlying exploitation being carried out in the group. By inducing heavy hypnotic states in the members, known as love bombing, and followers are also required to bow in front of the leader and the other cult officials. The leader is always in white clothes and uses Hindi words in speeches. These pure words means the words which are not used in daily Hindi conversation. It's used to create a pure mystic feeling around the leader. Information control. Members are required to only read the scriptures written by their leaders, most notably Avadar Bani and Hardev Bani, and also to only read the magazines published in their group. Reading scriptures of other major religions is not prohibited, but is considered insufficient for salvation after death. Also, fabricated stories of leaders performing various miracles is recited by cult officials in their speeches, like the leader healing various physical ailments of the followers. There's also behavior control. Members are required to come to daily indoctrination sessions regularly, to wash the feet of cult officials and drink that so called holy water known as charnamrat, holy water from feet, to sprinkle this holy water in your house daily and to ask for forgiveness for your sins regularly before going to bed by reciting their mantra with your whole family. Eating non vegetarian is strictly prohibited, again, by using the fear of 84 lock birth cycle. It's just a technique to maintain pure image of the group, not based on any genuine reasons behind avoiding non vegetarian lifestyles. What made me leave? 1. Use of intense hallucinatory states in the group. For 5 years, until 13 years of age, I was a member of this cult. This cult uses the extreme fear of ghosts to control members. Ghosts are constantly hunting you, and only our leader can save you. They conduct exorcism sessions and demand money and free labor in return. We would sleep every night with the lights of our room on. I disrupted my regular sleep cycle. I started to remain very drowsy in the day with a numb head. Our family, including me, my elder brother, and my mother, went into deep hallucinatory states due to the lack of sleep. We started to believe that our house was full of vengeful spirits, and it's upon us to free them so that they can attain salvation. We would wake up all night to summon spirits one by one. We would sleep every 2 to 3 days, not daily during that time period. I also stopped going to school for that 5 to 6 month time period. Wow. Sleep deprivation has always been a technique that cults use as a means to control because if you are hungry, if you're exhausted, if you're basically desperate for your basic human needs, you will only become more dependent on the cult because then the cult is giving you permission or providing you with those resources. One day, I got a hit on my head. My forehead felt numb. As said in this group, I prayed daily and chanted this group's mantra, but nothing happened. I didn't heal. Slowly and slowly, I started to see the cracks and realized that many aspects of this group fit the bite model created by Steve Hassan. I'm now 22 years old. Till now, even after 9 years since I started to see the cracks, I'm not healed from the trauma. I still get flashbacks of my time in this cult. I don't have money for CBT therapy. This experience was and still is very terrible for me. Unfortunately, my mother and my 3 year older brother are still members of this cult. Whenever I try to argue with them, they instantly shut me down and call me the devil or possessed by evil spirits. Oh my gosh, it's so heartbreaking because you are so young and now you're just thrust into the world without your family. Gosh, I'm so sorry. Financial contribution system in the group. Till now, we have donated maybe around 2 to 3 lakhs as financial donations in this group. Not at once, because they extract money from the members slowly throughout their life. They have a multi level donation system ranging from 10 to 20 per member. I had to look up this conversion. 2 lakhs is over 230,000 US dollars, and it goes up to 10. So that's over $2 million. That's wild. Wild. Oh my gosh. Oh, and no member receives financial help in times of distress. Instead, the members are coerced into donating even more money to provide even more unpaid labor so that the members can get divine blessings from the leader. This is so disgusting. So, money only strictly flows one way from members towards the group. You're not even encouraged to find and help needy people in your society, as it's said that it's not your responsibility and their leader will take care of even those who are not members of the group. Wow. They say that if you take upon this responsibility, it means that you are egotistic. So you'll lose your salvation after death for helping somebody else and giving them resource. That's so disgusting. Oh my gosh. There's no transparency as to how and where the financial donations are used. Wow. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. This is so heartbreaking. And it's honestly so many classic cult tactics. And it's one of the most outwardly insidious cults I think I've ever heard of because there's no escape, right? If someone that you love that is against the cult dies, they're just going to haunt you. They're going to haunt you for the rest of your lives. So that obviously makes you want to recruit all your loved ones into the group. And if they say no, you immediately have to like cut them off. And if they pass away, they're just going to haunt you forever. It's like this constant, like, it's this constant hamster wheel of fear, 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 fear. And the good natured people that want to help others are discouraged from it. That blows my mind. That blows my mind. I'm definitely going to do a deep dive on that cult. I need more information. I feel like obsessed now at this point. But we are going to shift gears a little bit and share a story that's title is something I've literally never heard of. I was in a cult for a few months, left about 2 years ago, and I'm starting to miss it. I was 18 and had been in a relationship for 4 years, and then we broke up. I immediately met this man who was 20. I was at such a low part of my life. I was heartbroken and just searching for some kind of connection. Me and this man were going to the same college. It started out as a friendship, but then we were talking for 10 plus hours a day on the phone. He was giving me any and all validation I could possibly imagine. We were talking for about 2 months before we moved into school. He was the most charismatic person I've ever met. He just had this influence on anyone that talked to him that seemed magical. He had the answers to any questions you could possibly think of. He made me trust him. I thought he knows what's best for me and everyone. And when he named his cult, I thought it was a joke. I didn't believe I was in a cult. That thought hadn't even crossed my mind. It wasn't until I left that I realized almost every single thing I did went through him for approval. Text messages, who I was hanging out with, etc. I was with him literally 24/7. At this point, we'd only kissed once, but there was a constant flirting and affectionate relationship between us that I honestly loved. If we had disagreed on something somehow, he would change my mind to agree with him. Of course, there were rules in our cult. There was a ranking, respect the elders. If you did something he didn't agree with, you had to get on your knees and pray to him or a different elder to show that you were devoted. Everything needs approval. I couldn't meet new people without him. I basically had to do whatever he asked me, support whatever choices he makes. So many more rules. Flash forward to many months of the same, add a few more kisses and an A word. Not sex, but sexual. And a little less than a year later, I left. I understand how and have for the past year or so how controlling and manipulative he was of me and everyone else. I know he's a horrible person. Once in a while, I will find myself missing that. Not necessarily him, but the relationship of the cult and the affection. I have an amazing boyfriend now, and I get validation and affection from him, but it's not the same type of relationship I miss from the cult. I dream about it, and I wake up missing it. Has anyone been through something similar, missing their cult or leader, but knowing you'll never go back? This is really heartbreaking to hear because A, this person is so young and was obviously preyed upon, especially when she was coming out of a relationship, probably in a very vulnerable state. But I think what this person is missing is the good things the cult offered, the things that it was before she knew it was a cult, the connection that she probably felt. Because as someone who has gotten sucked into groups like this, there is this connection that you feel like is so special. And it's built that way, right? A lot of cults, they start off with collecting collateral, and that's often in the shape of a group share where you feel this sense of safety to share some of your darkest secrets and scariest thoughts because everybody else in the group is, and you think it's a safe space. So this creates this kind of like subconscious bonding with people, and it makes you feel like you're closer with people than you really are. You might have one or two meetings at this cult and feel like you've met your best friends for life because you haven't connected with people on such a deep level before. So it could be a situation where she is missing that. She's missing her community, she's missing her connection. And I think too, I mean, it's got to be really difficult if you're used to being controlled. All of a sudden, you making your own decisions and having questions and not knowing the answers to those questions and jumping into your late teens, early 20s, and suddenly you're an adult and you have all these responsibilities and you might have no structure and not know how to build your own structure and routine and pay your bills. It could be really, really, really difficult, especially. I mean, I think it's difficult for everybody, but especially someone who's been in any environment where their every day-to-day choice was controlled. So my heart breaks for this person because honestly, if I were to talk to them, I would say like I don't think they miss the cult. I think they missed aspects of the cult that made her feel good. I think she misses some of the structure, she misses some of the committee. Cuz I'll say like I think for a lot of us the transition from like college to real life is really really difficult. I know for me I moved across the country right after I graduated college and I knew like one person there, two people. It's a scary thing to do. It's a hard thing to do and we're not taught about finances. We're not taught about how to live on your own necessarily. So it can be really scary. And if you're coming out of a dynamic that is so controlling and gives you these little crumbs of affection and then tears you down and then builds you back up, I think she's feeling that desire to connect to the cult because that's what cults do. They want people to miss them and desire them and be dependent on them because they frame every solution to your problem will be via the cult itself. And so I just want this OP to know you don't miss the cult. You miss some of the structure, some of the good parts of the group. But I think you know deep, deep down that it was inherently dangerous for you. And I hope you discover that clear. Well, gosh, you guys, I don't want to end on a sad note. I'm definitely going to be doing some research the next couple weeks. If you have any cults that you would like for me to cover, please drop them in the comments below. If you have your own story, remember to email me at letfresharon@gmail.com. I want to say thank you all so much for supporting the channel. I really, really appreciate your time and your attention. Please stay safe out there, ask questions, and always stay skeptical. I'll see you soon. Bye.